Hey there, it's July 7th, 2026, and I hope everybody still has the same number of fingers that they started this weekend with. Happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. The best pitcher in the National League just got tagged as a regression candidate by the same model that ranks him second in the National League. That's not a contradiction, and that's exactly what the numbers and the models are supposed to do. The standings don't lie, and the box scores don't either. I'm Pete Dwyer, and this is the division line from the Baseball Nerd. 6 divisions, 30 teams, in one weekly breakdown of what the numbers actually say. So as we celebrate our independence for the 250th time this year, who actually moved the line in Major League Baseball? Well, the Dodgers are on cruise control as the calendar flips to July. They handled the A's, and the Padres have been consistently a whipping post for the Dodgers. They're 59-32, 13 and a half games ahead in the National League West. At some point, that division race is going to be over. I think we're getting close to that point. There was interesting movement in the American League East division. Tampa Bay went 4-2. They swept Kansas City, but dropped 2-3 to Houston. They lead the Yankees by 4 games now. Remember last week? It was just a half game. The Rays have actually opened it up while everyone was watching the Yankees slide. Seattle took the American League West lead back from Texas. The Mariners went 5-1. They swept the Angels and then took 2-3 from Toronto. They're 47-44 and 1.5 games up on the Rangers. Now, the Mariners lost Julio Rodriguez to the 7-day concussion IL protocol. That happened on July 3rd. The Mariners are leading the AL West right now, but they don't have their best hitter, and Julio has been hot. That is actually going to be something that we want to watch real closely this week. Atlanta went 3-3. They dropped 2-3 to the Cardinals, but took 2-3 from the Mets. They're still 3 up on Philadelphia, and the slide has stopped for now, but the Braves have not looked dominant in a couple weeks. And the White Sox are holding 47-42, 1 game up on the Guardians. They went 4-3 this week. They took 2-3 from Baltimore, but split a 4-game set with Cleveland. That split with Cleveland is the number that matters. They had a chance to open it up, and they didn't do it. 1 game is a thin margin as we start July. In my article on Substack from July 4th, I called out the 3 frauds leading the divisions. One of those calls has already proven itself to be true with the Texas Rangers. It's over there on Substack. Go check it out. So, this is the Baseball Nerd. We do talk about the Spark scores. There are 3 names that actually moved this week. They're not necessarily the top of the board, but they moved. Andres Munoz from Seattle. He's a new entry on the Spark board at 75.5. He's the Mariners' closer, and here's why it matters right now. With Seattle leading the American League West, without Julio, their best hitter on the concussion IL protocol thing, the person holding things together in the late innings just qualified for the Spark board. It's not coincidence. It's the model telling you that he's been doing something real. The second entry on the Spark scoreboard that moved the most is Garrett Mitchell from Milwaukee. His Spark score jumped from 61.5 to 66.5. The biggest hitter riser this week. Milwaukee leads the National League Central by 6 games. Mitchell is trending up on the best team in the National League. He's not a household name yet, Garrett Mitchell, but the numbers are starting to say that he will be. One more time, Garrett Mitchell. Pay attention, you're going to hear that name a lot. Junior Caminero from Tampa Bay is number 3 on the Spark scoreboard, and he's still climbing. From a 78.8 to an 80.9. He had an 11-game span where he hit a home run in every game. That helps his score, and that score is still rising. He is on a Rays team that just opened up a 4-game lead, and it looks to get a whole lot bigger. And everything is pointing right for this 22-year-old. On the fade board, Jeff McNeil is still there. From the A's, his fade score is 58.8, His bail rate still sits at 1%. Same story. Same roster as Kurtz, who keeps producing at the top of the spark board. That hasn't changed. The contrast on that roster is one of the most striking things in baseball right now. Nolan Arenado from Arizona has got a fade score of 43.6, and he's number 2 on the list. Arizona is desperately trying to stay in the National League wildcard conversation, and their third baseman is one of the worst performing regulars by this model. The D-backs are 44 and 45. They desperately need Arenado to be the Arenado he was, and he just isn't. Unfortunately for Arizona, the number 3 entry on the fade scores is Zach Gallen. His fade score is 46.0 on the pitching side. There's 2 Diamondbacks in the fade list this week. Their offense and their rotation are both flagged. That's a team with real problems underneath a record that makes them look like a bubble team. The model says they're worse than the standings show. Overplaying your season and overplaying your record has never gotten anyone very far. Right now, the Diamondbacks are doing both. And one more thing, just a quick note on Cedric Mullins. He's been on the fade board for weeks. This week, his score dropped by almost 11 points. The single biggest week-long improvement in the fade hit list. He's not off the board yet, but his direction changed dramatically. It's worth watching to see what Cedric Mullins can do if he can keep this up and get back into contention. Look out for the article today on the new Spark and Fade scores and the updates to the leaderboards. It'll be live on Substack this afternoon. Now let's get into the MVP and the Cy Young watch. And let's start with Cy Young because there's a story here that not a lot of people are talking about. Jacob Misiorowski from Milwaukee. Oh yeah, everybody's talking about him. But what they're not talking about is the contact suppression rate. The model that I created, I call it the CSR, puts Misiorowski at a 2.5. Doesn't mean a whole lot. But he's still in a tier by himself in the National League. Now here's where the number matters. The gap between him and everyone else is enormous. Okay? Here's what's interesting. Chris Sale is second in the National League right now, and his CSR number is 1.12, with an ERA of 2.27. By the numbers, he's having a legitimate Cy Young season. The feelings vote loves Chris Sale. He's got the name. He's got the experience. He's a former Cy Young winner. He's on an Atlanta Braves team, and he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball at his peak. But what's really interesting and what we're watching is the regression tracking and what it's saying about Chris Sale right now. His expected ERA is 3.45. That's a gap of 1.17 runs. We track regression, upside and downside. And what I mean by that is there are pitchers whose ERA is significantly better than what their underlying stuff says it should be. Chris Sale is one of them. The same model that ranks him second in the National League Cy Young race is also telling you his ERA is living on borrowed time. That's not a contradiction. This is what the models are supposed to do. It separates what's real from what's going to regress. The Cy Young voters won't see the regression coming. But in the model, it's right there for you to see. In the American League, Dylan Cease leads the contact suppression rating at 1. Pitching for Toronto with an ERA of 2.79, the Jays aren't in the playoff picture. But Cease is making a real American League Cy Young case by the numbers. Parker Messick in Cleveland is second at 0.84 on a team in a tight American League Central race. Now let's go to the MVP. James Wood still leads baseball in bases gained, my metric that measures everything that a hitter does. He's ahead of players with more name recognition, better batting averages, and more home runs. The reason, though, is consistent. James Wood is doing damage in the right situations, at a position that doesn't get a DH addition, and he hasn't stopped. The feelings MVP vote will probably go to somebody else. But the numbers The guy that's doing the most for his team right now is James Wood. The prospect of the week is Colt Emerson from Seattle. Still on top of the prospect board. With the Mariners losing Julio to a concussion, Andres Munoz coming up on the Spark scoreboard, Emerson is still in that lineup every day, and he's still making a difference. He's a 20-year-old shortstop. He's in the American League West race, and without the team's best player, his situation just got harder, and he's right there in front of him. In games that matter this week, the first one is the Yankees and Rays. That series starts today. New York is 4 games back. This is the series that either closes the gap or confirms that Tampa Bay is pulling away. This is the series that everybody's going to want to watch. Except the White Sox play the Guardians in Cleveland. It starts on Tuesday. There's 1 game between them. Every series between these teams moves the needle drastically. The Braves and Cardinals start on Thursday. Atlanta's up 3 in the NL East, and St. Louis is in the wild card hunt. The Cardinals swept Atlanta last week, and this is a rematch with real stakes on both sides. The takeaway, the American League East and the American League Central have a chance to look very different at the end of the week. The Rays play the Yankees, the White Sox play the Guardians. Things could change very quickly with these series. That's the line. New episodes drop every Monday morning. Like, follow, and share. Subscribe to the Baseball Nerd on Substack. Recaps, standings, and box scores are always live at thebaseballnerd.com. Thanks for being with me. I'll see you next Monday.